TSN 1200. The game of golf in general, through a lot of charitable endeavors and golf tournaments and things, and my golf initiative and this show. So here's your lesson of the week for this week. We're going to talk about the way the body works. And I thought it's very appropriate since Tiger Woods is in the heat this week, and then looking at Jason Day winning the PGA Championship. We alluded a little bit earlier in the show that, I think Tiger Woods, the biggest thing he fights with, and whether he agrees with this or not, is the dropping and the lifting and the dropping again. And there's a little bit of there's a corner of the golf instruction market now who are talking about ground force dynamics and using the ground and all this stuff. But I've got video of Ben Hogan. His head doesn't drop a millimeter. And he was pretty good. And Graham Dillette, one of the longest players on tour, I've got tons of video of Graham, and his head doesn't drop a millimeter. And Annika Sorenstam, and so many others who don't. So I think the concept of kind of driving down in your downswing and then pulling up out of it is a really poor one in golf. And it might be trendy at the moment, but I don't see the value in changing levels like that as you swing. You're just putting another moving part into your motion. I'm a big believer that in the golf swing, the arms swing up and down. The body should turn level kind of into itself. So you turn your chest back. As your chest turns, your stomach muscles kind of move into your right rib cage. Your belt buckle turns into your back thigh. Shouldn't say right and left for lefties out there, but turns into that back thigh, and that leg stays flexed, and we kind of wind ourselves up into that leg, right? The body's rotating into itself as the arms swing up. And when you start changing levels in your, on the way back and on the way through, it's just another moving part. And most amateurs, by the way, everyone, most of you lift in your backswing, which is a killer. The one thing I will say is if you're going to make a mistake and change levels in your backswing with your body, flexing a little bit more and squishing yourself like a little bit of an accordion is a more athletic and stronger thing to do than standing up. And when I see the majority of you on my lesson tee or watch my pros working with you, most of you lift up in your backswing. You get bigger in your backswing. And that's a big, big mistake, right? Because you're not coiling and winding and using all the torque and the leverage that gives you. But when you stand up, it feels like you get bigger, but you actually stretch everything out and lose all of your coil and all of your tension in your golf swing. If you think of a shot putter or a discus thrower throwing a discus or a shot put, they kind of squish down and then lunge themselves to deal with the weight and release forward, right? Or in the case of a discus, they start small and kind of unwind like the Tasmanian devil and get bigger to throw the thing up in the air. So you don't want to get bigger and then start your downswing, right? And Tiger's fighting with both right now. He's dropping in his backswing, which I don't love, but is the better mistake than getting bigger, I would say. And then on the way down, he's kind of dropping his head, which is the killer move for him. So you've got to try to keep your head quiet. Doesn't mean you keep it still. Doesn't mean you lock it down into your chest. Doesn't mean you keep it down. Keep your head down is a bunch of BS in golf. Your head should rotate as your body moves around it, right? So remember, Nicklaus used to preset his head. He'd turn his head a bit. So as he turned his chest back, the head wouldn't have to move, right? He just looked at the golf ball with his left eye in his case. And on the way through, the head stays pretty in position. I won't say static because there's rotation and movement to it, but it should end up in about the same position it started in as you move down into the golf ball. Your lead ear, your left ear for a righty, kind of right at the back of the ball as you're hitting a 7-iron or a 6-iron kind of thing. And then you have to rotate and release. This is another problem with the people don't understand about the golf swing. Keeping the head down past impact is awful. It prevents your body from rotating and releasing to a finish. And as I stated first thing in this lesson, the body is a coiling or winding spring that winds up upper body over lower body in the backswing and then unwinds. Lower body starts that kinematic sequence and you unwind on the way through. The more level you can stay, the more kind of in position you can stay as you rotate back and through, the more consistent you're going to be. That should seem pretty obvious to everybody. So, but the fact remains, just to get back to the head for a second, it is a rotation, right? We wind up and then we unwind. And we need to square the club. You need to turn through the golf shot and rotate to square your golf club. And if you keep your head locked down, if you don't release it, your golf club doesn't want to release and swing past you and stay on plane and allow all that energy to move forward, right? What it causes is it causes your head to fall back a bit. If you try to keep it down too much, your legs fly forward, the club works up too much, and you end up hitting a lot of thin shots and blocks and hooks. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to keep your head down or still once you've hit the golf ball. What I tell pupils to think about is if you're going to rotate to, like, if you got a medicine ball in front of you at the gym and you get in a kind of an athletic stance, like a golf posture stance, and you keep your elbows kind of lined up with your hip bones and you just turn your chest back to support that medicine ball, you'll see your head turns a little bit as you pull the medicine ball back, or as you load, I like to call it. And then as you rotate through, you don't keep your head down as the medicine ball goes by you and past you. You'll feel actually stress on your lower back if you do that. You need to be, paying attention to that ball staying in front of the chest and then releasing as you look towards where you're going to throw the medicine ball, right? And that's kind of the way the body works in golf. We keep it pretty centered as we rotate back and load, or wind up, if you will. But then as we move through, what happens is the body needs to rotate and release. Anyway, that's your